Hi, this is Melanie from Screen Time with Mel, and right now we are going to talk about the Serpent Queen Season 1, Episode 3. So let's go ahead and get into it. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, thank you so much for coming by to visit my little channel and to check out one of my videos. I do hope you enjoy it, and if you find that you do and you like all things television and some movies, then go down below and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell so that you're reminded each time I come out with a brand new video. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back to check out another one of my videos. If you enjoy it and haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button too. Don't forget to hit the bell. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you hit the like button. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so we are dealing with the aftermath of the maid that put the gunpowder into the oven, or into the dish that ended up going into the oven, that ended up maiming the kitchen maid. Of course, she's getting accused of it. Basically, the kitchen maid, I guess, lost her eye, and the whole side of her face is burnt. But she didn't die, so I'm glad about that. And she was just about to get 7 lashes from the head cook when Catherine comes down and tells them, no, you will not. Accidents happen, which is exactly what the maid said, Rahina, and says, if you lay another hand on my maid, you will answer to me. So our little Rahina has some protection, which I really don't think that the actual Catherine would have done at all. I just don't think that would have happened. So now Rahina's got protection so she can continue her lessons with little Rahina. After this scene, then Catherine takes Rahina to a room and has her choose her favorite dress, and she suggests a particular one, which Rahina of course loves. And immediately, they don't show this, but I guess she puts it on immediately, because then you see the queen and her strolling through the gardens, and so starts the next lesson. So in this episode, and I may be jumping around a little bit, it was a pretty good episode. A little bit less fourth wall breaks, a little bit, there's still some there. And I think that the series is starting to get a little bit more serious. There's still some playfulness to it, which I enjoy, especially with the conversations between Rahina and Catherine. And by the way, that trust is going to become important at the end of the episode. We are going back in time to Catherine as a young girl, or a young woman, I guess is a better way to put it. And King Henry has been off to war for a year, been writing her little love letters and missives, and she's been falling in love with him all over again, which is the lesson, not to fall in love. That has been going on, and all of a sudden she hears the horns and she knows that he is back. She goes racing to the castle, and at the same time her competition, her cousin, is getting ready quickly, and she goes racing. She's already in the castle, but she goes, and by the way, Catherine was just kind of strolling out in the woods and ran into her witch that she brought, who lives in like this little hovel in the woods with all these mirrors and things hanging everywhere, you know, obviously a witch's hut, right? Okay, so she runs, while she's talking to him, she hears the bell and then runs to catch. And of course, both her cousin and herself end up in the waiting line, I guess, or receiving line for the prince at the same time, and they're both smiling, awaiting their return. Prince gets down off the horse. He says, my wife, my I don't know what she is to him, aunt, maybe, my aunt, I don't know. Anyway, she goes, oh, he's like, oh, I missed you both. Here, I'd like to introduce you to my daughter, and the daughter's mother. So that was a nice, fun little add-in there, right? At that point, Catherine's cousin starts to help her and give her lessons herself as they try to go through all of this. So they go back inside the palace, and now they're in the king's receiving room, where the king's going on and on and on about Prince Henry's exploits and his what's worked out well, and And the fact that he's been able to produce a baby girl, which means that he can produce an heir, and it's all Catherine's fault that he's not able to produce an heir. At some point in the episode, they end up getting examined by somebody. So yes, she has to suffer through that again. This was at the suggestion of the cousin, by the way. And then this person, I guess they're considered a physician, tells them, well, they don't match, so they need to work harder to have a baby. And the king's like, okie dokie, that can work. Also, before that particular scene, you find out that the king actually knows that Catherine is the one that set up the alliance between, I think, the Saudis. I'm not real sure, but anyway, she set up that particular alliance so that they can go and defeat their enemies in Spain. I believe it was Spain is what they went to go defeat, and how he came back successful, and the king catches Catherine before she goes out for her morning ride and tells her, I know it was you. It wasn't the prince. He's not that smart. He doesn't know how much he needs you. So the king likes Catherine and wants Henry to keep Catherine, not cast her aside. That's a bonus. And then she goes out in the woods, and maybe this happened after the examination, but she goes out in the woods and ends up getting attacked. Not real sure who the ruffians are, but she ends up getting attacked. And this is after her servant, the little lady that's been sleeping with the Dauphine, finds out that one of the courtiers is... Then Catherine comes back, and I don't know who these these guys that attacked her. They're never clear on that, which of course you wouldn't be. But she blames him because they found it out from this woman. The king, by the way, or not the king, but the Dauphine had at that point ticked off the serving girl, and that he had been sleeping with, who works for Catherine, which I believe is the only reason why that woman told Catherine about this. But anyway, gets mad because when they were in court, I think the first time they were in court, whenever he was congratulating the prince, the Dauphine had the gall to kind of mock his father and his decisions, and he ended up getting beaten by his father. And as this serving girl who'd been sleeping with him tried to help him and dress his wounds, well, he got mad, of course, because he's ego, right? Ego. And ends up kicking her out. And I think that's how Catherine found out about this plot. So again, we go back. She's in the woods alone, riding alone. And actually, this was before the king. This was after the ride with the king. This is another ride. That's right. I told you I'm getting them all mixed up. I enjoyed this episode, so I'm getting the little pieces mixed up, and I'm trying to remember everything. But so she gets attacked, and she gets caught in time. The prince finds her. Prince Henry, finds her in time, and they go back to be received by the king to tell him, hey, I think it's this guy that tried to do it at the behest of the Dauphine. Prince Charles, I think his name is. Catherine tries to go and talk to her dressmaker, and he doesn't have time for her because he's holding audience with the queen, and he's like, don't you understand, this could be good for me? Please be happy for me. Well, she's in fear of getting kicked out of court and being left homeless, while he's making nice with the queen and not helping her. So of course she's a little miffed about that. Then we get to this scene, and it's unclear what happens, but I will tell you, Catherine de Medici, and historically, is known for something in particular, which I'll get to that in a minute. So, she goes and visits the witch and says, hey, nothing's working, I'm not getting pregnant, I've tried everything, I let them examine me, I do this, I did that, nothing's working, I need your help. And he goes, are you sure? Is this what you really want? She says, yes. He goes, okay, done. But there's going to be a cost, and you don't know what that cost is going to be. And when you pay it, you'll know that you have paid it. Okay, so come to the court again. And the prince and the Dauphin, or Prince Charles, are playing tennis. All of a sudden, the Dauphin can't play tennis anymore. He's like, I need water, I can't play, I need water. They give him water, he starts foaming at the mouth, and lo and behold, few little bits of scenes, the physician comes, he dies. The Dauphin is dead. And in the midst of this, Catherine goes running back to her room because she gets accused, because she had accused him of trying to kill her or trying to hurt her. So she goes running back to the room. She's trying to figure out what's going on, what they can do, how they can resolve this. She's not pregnant yet, blah, blah, blah. And when she had visited the witch, he gave her a book and told her she would need the book. Okay, bam. Well, while they're in there, in comes one of the courtiers, and he says, and this is the Catholic one, he says to Catherine, or goes in and arrests her dressmaker, saying that they found this book of mushrooms that cause poison, that can be created into a poison, in his room, and so he must be guilty, right? And as Catherine's trying to defend him, he whispers to Catherine, somebody's going to die for this. Is it you, or is it your dressmaker? And Catherine had to make that decision. And of course, she chose her dressmaker. Okay? So, they have a scene where he is getting quartered. I'm going to tell you, I don't know if they showed it. I looked away, because that is what my wussy butt does. I don't want to see that mess. So I looked away. I think maybe they showed it, but it was that's what he was getting drawn and quartered, basically. And so he died. She's crying her eyes out. She runs back to her room. She throws up, and one of the other girls that's not one of her servants, but has been hanging around with her because she's getting to know the people that she works with. Well, she said, oh, you went to visit the witch. Well, this is the price that he told you would have to pay. And congratulations, you're pregnant. And then the last, they end the episode where the king is saying, long live the Dauphin, whatever, the new Dauphin, and his princess, who is now pregnant. And the three women that have been hanging out with Catherine along with the dressmaker said, you know what this means. If she's willing to give up one of us, she's willing to give up any of us. So that's not going to help her at all. More intrigue coming. So this was a pretty good episode. I really enjoyed this episode. Glad to see that Catherine's pregnant. Hopefully it stays. I'm not sure if she had any miscarriages or not. But what I was alluding to before, which you may already know, historically, Catherine de Medici is known for poisoning her enemies. It's not proven, it's rumored. I don't think it's ever been proven. Maybe it has, but it's been known that her enemies tend to die from poison. There's one more scene that I didn't mention. I need to mention. Okay, so that was the end of past Catherine. Now we come to current day Catherine, right? And the one who's giving the lessons. And she's walking down the palace halls with Rahina, her maid, who's wearing that brand new dress. Well, they come upon Queen Mary, which they have in this particular series. They have Queen Mary depicted in all in white, and she has four attending ladies, four ladies that attend to her, and they're all in white, and all of them are called Mary. And yeah, very odd. And then Mary mentioned something about liking Rahina's dress. And Catherine's like, yeah, I figured you wouldn't need it since you're in mourning for my son. So this is Queen Mary of Scots. This is Mary, Queen of Scots. And they're referring to, I can't remember his name. I think it was Charles. Anyway, the French prince that Mary married, and only lived, I think, for a year after they were married. So, and then you see where Mary turns her head and talks to the camera, the fourth wall break, she could be talking to her ladies in waiting, but it's like, no, the wife is the queen after her husband dies, and I will make sure that Catherine doesn't get anything. So there's that intrigue in current day. What? There's all this stuff going on back and forth. I am so glad I didn't live way back then, especially in the court. Much better to be a peasant back then than live in the court, although the peasants probably didn't see it that way. But I mean, just let me work my farm. Have a simple life. Thank you very much. Still kind of like that, the simple life. Anyway, I digress. So that is that episode. I enjoyed it. I really liked this episode. I do see where it's getting a little bit more serious, but I like some of the humor, a little bit of the humor there. Still not as funny as the first one, but that's okay. That's okay. It's serious stuff that they're dealing with, so I'd hate that they would get tongue-in-cheek with murder and mayhem, which they're still a little bit, but so I did enjoy it. What'd you guys think? What were your favorite parts? Was there anything I missed that I should have mentioned? Was there anything that really just struck you the wrong way? Let me know down below. Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear from you. And I did have somebody comment on one of the previous episodes about this, about the Serpent Queen, that historically Catherine de Medici was not a well-liked woman. And I agree with that. Absolutely. She was not a well-liked woman. And I have to imagine, sometimes I think when I hear stuff like that, I think about when you hear about pop stars being bitchy or not being well-liked. And two people that come to mind for me are like Christina Aguilera or Madonna. And while they may be, I don't know, but they're also known to be very headstrong. And when they have an idea, they want to get their way. They don't allow others to push them around. So I wonder if in that day and age that rumor came about, but that's because Catherine, in the end, was not a compliant woman. She was not a compliant woman. She did what she had to do to make sure that things worked in her favor. And, well, not always ethical, obviously. A man doing the same thing would not be viewed in the same light. So, it just makes you wonder about those things. So you have to. We weren't there in that day and age, so you have to pull from things that you know about the time and try and figure these things out, which I find fascinating. And I do love to see these fictional works about history. So it is historical fiction. It's not necessarily real, but it's been great fun watching this. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And if you like all things TV, then hit that subscribe button. I'm going to have a lot more stuff coming up. And as you see, I'm already following a few different series, and I plan on following a few more. But again, hit that like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and hit the bell so that you're reminded each time I come out with a brand new video. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys have an amazing day. Bye-bye.